Hey guys, today we're in the book of Exodus chapter 27. We are in the 6 chapters, 25 through 31, of God's detailed blueprints of how Israel is going to be different than any other nation and how Yahweh is different than any other God before that has been worshiped. It's something completely different. So he's giving us these blueprints, these detailed accounts of what he wants and how Israel is to worship them. So in 25, we've seen some things that go in the Ark of the Covenant, the table of showbread, the menorah, the lampstand. Then yesterday we saw the actual building of the tabernacle, the actual tent of the tabernacle. And today now we get a little bit more. We get the outside of the tent. We start off in 27 and it says, "You shall make me an altar of acacia wood, 5 cubits long and 5 cubits broad." The word altar is the word mizbeka, right? Mizbeka. And it just means the killing place. You're going to make me a place where you're going to kill or sacrifice animals. That's what an altar is. And this is a huge altar. It is 7 feet and 6 inches by 7 feet and 6 inches. It's a square. And it is 4 feet 6 inches high, right? So it's a humongous altar, 7.5 feet by 7.5 feet by 4.5 feet tall. But on verse 2, it also says that you shall have horns on the corner. So it's a square, but on the corner, it's going to have a horn coming out, like reaching out from the altar. And the point of that is that the altar is reaching out in every direction: north, south, east, west, right? There's a horn. The 4 corners of the altar will reach the world. That's kind of the point of why there is horns. And not only is there going to build this, but notice in verse 4, "You shall make for it a grating, a network of bronze, and on the net you shall make 4 bronze rings on the corners." And so this altar is not just solid. There's a grating. So as they're burning and sacrificing the animals, the ashes of the animal are falling through a grate and they're being caught in a place in this altar. We're going to find out later that they need these ashes to do something, okay? And so God needs a way to collect these ashes to a certain place. But once again, notice it says that there's rings. Verse 6 says there's poles. Remember, the tabernacle, the place of God, is going to be moved quite often. They're going to basically walk around the desert for 40 years. They don't know it yet, but they are. So God is creating them a mobile church, a mobile place of worship. And so after that, we stall in verse 9, and he starts to talk about the court of the tabernacle, okay? The court, which means the fence, the outer realm of this tent, okay? So think with me here, right? So let's kind of say this, right? My Bible is the tabernacle. It's the full tent covered on one side, this side, this side, this side, and this side with a screen door, okay? With a screen that you can get into it. Of this tabernacle, okay, it is only 45 feet long and 15 feet wide. It's not very big. But remember, there's a veil inside. Inside of it, there's a veil, and it makes 2 rooms: the Holy of Holies and the holy place. The Holy of Holies, where the Ark of the Covenant is 15 feet wide by 15 feet by 15 feet tall. It's a cube, okay? It's a cube, and the Ark of the Covenant is there, and that's the only thing that's in there. Then there's the veil, and then you have the rest, or the 2/3 of the tabernacle, which would have been 30 feet by 15 feet by 15 feet, okay? So this is the tabernacle. A third of it is the Holy of Holies. 2/3 of it is the holy place. Here is where the menorah was, the showbread is, the altar of incense that we haven't even read about. There's some things that are in here, right? That are in this part. This is the screen door. Out here is the altar, okay? This 7 foot by 7 foot by 4 foot. This is the altar. And now we're going to get dimensions of a fabric tent that goes all the way around, encompassing the whole tabernacle, the altar, and the yard of the tabernacle. And this fabric tent is 150 feet by 75 feet. Okay. So the tabernacle is, when we say tabernacle, it incorporates the whole tent area, 75 feet by 150 feet. But the actual tent is 45 feet long by 15 feet wide by 15 feet tall. And the Holy of Holies is 15 feet wide, 15 feet deep, and 15 feet tall. Okay. And the Holy of Holies is 30 by 15 by 15, right? So I'm just dividing up that 45 into 2/3. So here we get the descriptions of this outer courtyard, right? Remember, in the tabernacle, the high priest, only one man can go into here one day a year. In here, priests can go in here. They can go in here, but the only thing they do is replace the bread and keep the menorah going. That's their only job. Then the priests out here are sacrificing on the altar. So when people come and meet God, when people come to church, they never come into the tent. They only meet God in the courtyard within this 150 by 70 foot fabric privacy fence, right? Just think of it like as a privacy fence, right? You can't see through it. There's an entrance to it. So I hope that makes sense. On the east side, they had to set this up every time in a direction. On the east side, there was a gate. There was an opening in the fabric privacy tent. It was 30 feet wide, and it was on the east side every single time. So when you walk in the gate, the fabric privacy fence, you would see the altar. You'll see a basin, which we haven't read about. Then you would see the screen of the tent that would allow the priest to go into the holy place. And then if you were the high priest, you could go all the way in. So you walk in, you picture this perfect line of entrance, altar, entrance, showbread, incense, the altar of incense, and then on the inside you have the Holy of Holies. I'm just kind of helping you out, right? So God gives all the dimensions of this, but notice verse 20. Not only does he give all the dimensions, plus there needs to only be one gate. There's only one way to God. In verse 20, he says, you shall command the people of Israel that they should bring to you pure beaten olive oil. Your translation might not say the word beaten, okay? The Hebrew word there is the word kothrith, and it truly means to be pressed, not beaten. Depends on translation, but here God is saying, I want the best of olive oil, okay? That's what he's saying. I want the best, right? And that's kind of the point, right? God wants the best oil to light his lamps, those 7 lamps on the menorah. And then he says, in the tent of meeting outside the veil, that is testimony, Aaron and his sons shall tend it from evening to morning before the Lord, and it shall be a statute forever to be observed. So here, Aaron and his sons, we will find out later, they will become the priests, but the priest's job is to make sure that the menorah, that candelabra of gold, right, with 7 lamps, should never stop bearing light. So it was their job to always take this pressed oil and to keep the lamps full, to trim the wicks so that there'd always be light in there. Now you'd ask yourself, where is Jesus in this? Well, I think you probably picked up on it, that when God gives the directions on how you build the tabernacle, he builds a tent, he builds a holy place, he builds a big privacy fence, but there's only one way that you can come to God. There's only one gate, one door that you can come to God. If I don't remind you of Jesus saying that I am the way, the truth, and the life, right? He even said that I am the door, I am the way into the sheep, right? And so we have Jesus multiple times saying that he is that one door. The only way that you can get to God is not by good, it is not by money, it is not by works, it is through faith in Jesus Christ. He is the one gate that allows you in to see God. As soon as you'd walk through that gate, you could see exactly where God was in that tent of the tabernacle, right? So that's what Jesus is. I hope that makes sense. We'll see you tomorrow in chapter 28. God bless.